I think my favorite one this weekend was I made a joke in regards to the basketball game from last night, where it's just like, well, maybe if they weren't so cavalier. 'Cause, yeah, that's right, that's right. Toronto, yeah, that's right. I
Wow.
had to. That
Yeah.
was good. That was gold. Good gold.
I'm gonna let that sit there for a second. But,
No, that's the point of the dad joke. You just kind
Oh,
of you have to it has to simmer.
yeah.
everyone, simmer or suffer? Like, what's the right word exactly?
Dad joke's like a sunburn. Like it was fun to happen, but then you stick with it and it just gets worse. The
Ugh.
initial outside fun that caused the sunburn was enjoyable, but then you gotta deal with the consequences. Yeah,
I like
that,
that analogy. That's good.
yeah.
The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. It is time for New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have an 11-month-old.
My name is Gavin, and I have a 9-month-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Gentlemen, we survived another week. Cheers to that.
Yes. Cheers. Chink.
I'm still waiting for Jeff to one day on his lead and just add another.
Oh, no.
But like it's like a 15-year-old. It's like,
Yeah. By the way,
yeah,
I just found out I have 3.
uh,
But it was like,
sort of kid.
not like
He was
30-year-old.
getting mowing the lawn, and it turned out it was mine all along. So
Takes on a college student and looked like a really great basketball prospect, so consider it an investment.
Yeah, it's an investment. Yeah. Screw the
yeah.
bloodline. Investment.
None of the other kids seem very
Next
sporty.
week, Jeff's like, or like Jeff adds the two ages together, like his kid's just osmosis, like reverse osmosis.
Becoming super
8-year-old now.
babies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course, like I have a 3 and a 5 and a 27-year-old. What? What happened?
No.
So gentlemen, how was your week in fatherhood and gaming?
Jeff, you want to go ahead?
As per last week, Uncharted 4. Again, Uncharted 4, Uncharted 4, and a little bit more Uncharted 4.
For those of you looking for a preview over the next 2 months,
Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4.
Jeff's answer will be Uncharted.
Uncharted 4. Yeah, no, great game. As an illustrator and graphic designer, amazing artwork in that game. Just breathtaking at every level. I'll wait for people to play it to spoil it, but
Like artwork is in the scenery or like the menus and the in-game
Scenery.
items?
not really in-game items or anything. It's like the way they kind of weave you through the map, everything's placed in a certain way. So, if a building breaks down and you have to like jump rope over to the next one, it purposely zooms like an aerial shot, so you get that sense of depth, and then it swings up to like a mountain. It's everything's like well thought out and placed.
Yeah, I'm finding that their cinematography, like with The Last of Us, for example, like just
Yeah.
the camera angles that they're picking, it's like they get proper like storyboard artists on board to map out like, okay, how's the camera going to follow this story? Um,
Yeah.
and even in moments where it's like you're controlling the camera, but you're not, like they keep it within a range that keeps the shot proper, but you still have some semblance of control just to make you feel like you're still fully controlling the game. You still have full control over the character, obviously, but there's certain moments where it's like, no, we're going to guide your eye, have you experience it. And I know it's it's just Naughty Dog is really solid at that.
They seem to care, right? So
Yeah, I think it was the same with I think the God of War series was really good for that.
Yep, yep, that's a really good one.
Shadow of the Colossus had some good moments too,
It's an
where
amazing one.
just like compositionally the way the cinematography was done. And it's like weird thinking like cinematography and photo composition and image composition for a video game because a lot of times like you're in control of the camera, but there's a way of kind of like kung fuing the camera control away from the player, not letting them know that. And yeah, it seems like Uncharted 4 is like the pinnacle of that right now. So I'm happy Jeff's enjoying it.
Very much enjoying it.
He's making me have to tear through my series so I can get back to it.
was kind of wondering, like, would you guys say that this is the way it's described and reviewed online? Like, would you might be kind of a grandiose statement, but would you consider this kind of the fulfillment of the promise of gaming that we kind of grew up with, as far as like what it was going to be? Like, if you think back to some of the cutscenes of the PlayStation One and even the PlayStation Two, where it'd be this incredible, or what at the time incredible looking scene, but then you go back to like kind of gross sprites.
Yeah,
But so between story, gameplay, continuity, just cinematography, acting, like, would you kind of consider this like to be that like we finally got there, the place we always thought it was going to be?
I would say it's got a lot going for it. I wouldn't say it's like the absolute essence of gaming as we know it,
hmm
but there's really like remarkable ways that they've almost streamlined the experience. So like in between, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there's a lot of like press triangle to like lift a wooden beam, and they're actually loading the next level behind that. So they have a lot of those scenes where like you think you're interacting and you're doing something, and then the loading's already done, so you continue. So it's kind of a good experience that way where they don't break the story. But I would think
yeah.
Last of Us is like the best story that I've ever been in versus Uncharted 4 so far.
I think with like the last, they kind of hit that stride with the last generation. And I think the big thing too is as soon as they're able to get past that disconnect of cutscene and gameplay, um, I think that was a big hurdle to get through. And now that they've sort of done that, I think that's helping. Last of Us was really good for that. I found Spec Ops: The Line. That was a really solid game for just like a, a story that pulls you in. You're like, I need to find out what happened next. I need that. I found the original Bioshock was also very similar to that as well, especially since with certain games not breaking the first person's perspective. So you would have a cut scene, but you would never leave the eyes of your character. Um, I felt that that sort of technique and that was also used extensively in Half-Life. Um,
Oh yeah, good one.
those moments were like it helps with the immersion and makes you feel like a part of this. And I think that's the pinnacle that we're reaching with games and what we're trying to strive for. I think that's why VR is very popular, but I don't know if that's really the road we're going down to find that. But it's that idea of you want to feel totally and completely immersed in the story, like a warm blanket, and you want it to just hold you tight,
The
you know,
fuzzy warm blanket.
fuzzy warm blanket of narrative. So
I
yeah, I think that's kind of the big thing and I think that was the thing that used to happen with older generations like PS1, PS2, is that the disconnect from the storytelling to the gameplay mechanics was so jarring that it would break the immersion. Where now we're really starting to find that seamless interaction between telling the story and letting you play, and telling the story and letting you play. And that back and forth balance, I think, is what's really allowing um, us to get close to that pinnacle. Whether we'll ever hit it is, it might always be this elusive carrot on the stick until like we're actually stabbing something in the back of our skull to play a video game. Um,
God.
but until
you
that
know, you
day,
could have gone with like steering the spaceship, but
No, no,
you
no.
knew you. Okay.
I want full matrix on that. So
Gavin just keeps buying watermelons, like hoping for the full immersion experience. And
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
so both the games. So now you're both in on going through the Uncharted series. Jeff previously had a bunch of history. Gavin, you're doing it for the first time.
Yep.
How is it from a dad perspective? Like with your limited time, like is the game respectful of it? Like, are you able to kind of
Yeah.
dip in and out well enough that it's
I'm
viable?
I'm really enjoying it now because I was coming off of a lot of really just time sponge games where like I'd be playing like Fallout and Dying Light, which I both really enjoy. Um, but those games are because of the open world environment. There's a lot of traversing the environment and a lot of inventory management and just like uh, Easter egg hunting. Like not Easter egg as in like they cleverly hid something, but literally like I need one more roll of duct tape to finish building this thing for my gun. So I guess I'm looking for duct tape. Just like aimless wandering and looking for stuff. Um, I
Yeah.
find with the Uncharted series, it's just right into the action, and the story and the pacing never leaves a dull moment. So I find in the like sometimes during a nap I'll be able to get an hour in. But the amount of stuff I've done in that hour narratively in an Uncharted game, like, just totally overshadows the amount of things I can get done in some of those larger open world experiences, like with like Just Cause 3. It's like, oh well, like I traveled
Yeah.
5 kilometers. Whereas, like in
Yay.
Uncharted, it's like, oh well, I robbed a museum and then I got chased by a jeep down a snowy hill, and then I rolled around in the Congo for a bit. It's like, oh, and you
Yeah.
did all that in an hour? It's like, yeah. What'd you do in Uncharted? Or what did you do in like Fallout? It's like, well, I walked down that road until a super mutant shot me, and I had to walk down the road again because I forgot to save. Oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, with that game, like I don't care to necessarily mod, and specifically really don't care to cheat, but I I think if I when I get back into it, like I'm going to, I've heard of a cheat where it's relatively easy to do, but it just gives you unlimited carrying, so the weight of the items don't matter
Mm,
anymore. Because it's just become such a burden to have to think about it and the
yeah.
inventory management, and you can't carry this, but you probably have to, like, which gun is best, and you have to worry about it. It's just I just don't have I have no patience for it at this time
Well, I
with
think
limited dad time. It's just I appreciate it. I know that's a
A
bigger
dad mod. You
experience.
need a dad mod.
What's
that
that?
mod.
A
Dad
dad mod. You just need
dad.
a mod for dads. I don't care about the weight. Whatever.
It's
Just
it should specifically say, like, are you a
Yeah,
dad? Okay, how old is your kid? Oh,
here you go.
okay, here's God mode.
yeah.
Here's where you go. Right this way, sir.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
yeah,
think we have less patience for inventory management because we just spent the weekend loading the trunk up with like a stroller and all this other stuff, and we're trying to like triage what stuff's coming with us on the weekend. It's like, well, we can't bring this bouncy chair because it's not going to fit in the trunk and the stroller and the high chair and the sleeping thing. So one of these things has to go. And it's like we already do that as dads and as parents is like figuring out we're going on a journey. We can only take these things. What things are going to keep the baby from not crying? Um, and yeah, is it that sort of then when you've done that, it's like it's a the postal worker doesn't go for a walk after their shift. You know, like
time for some exercise.
it's like I've done this. This is what I do all day. I don't want to have to do more of it. It's like now I'm just looking at like my Fallout inventory, and all I can think is like, well, that's that weapon is a Batman. That's basically the bassinet. And it's like I kind of need it when we're in a pinch, but it takes up so much room. I don't really
This is a
want
good
it.
YouTube short. We should put this together as a
Yeah,
little clip. The dad, and then you have the system that comes up with all
yeah, yeah,
the Fallout menu.
yeah. Whereas like you go to start your car and the car won't start. It's just a little notice on the dashboard saying you're over encumbered. It's
Then you're looking at your options, like, well, then I don't
yeah,
want to leave the cooler. I don't want to leave the food to the wife. And it's like,
yeah,
baby,
yeah.
huh?
Hmm.
24 pounds, eh?
Gas. Yeah.
But I mean, even with like I had that this week, I got some good time. I had a couple flights, and as such, I had some decent time to play the mobile version of Final Fantasy IX, which includes the cheats.
Hmm.
And there were just a couple fights, and it's like, okay, for me to come back to this thing, like I think I was about to die, and it's like, all right, if I come back to this thing, I have to go and grind, like probably for like 30 minutes, and then raise some levels, come back, and then fight this thing again. I don't have the gusto to do that at this point. Like it's if if we were in a different world and I had plenty of time, like that's a process I really enjoy, in fact.
Yeah,
But it's just like at this point, I'm getting so much enjoyment of going through the game and playing around with the different spells and like equipment and everything else, certainly. But just it came time to basically let myself die to this one character and then have to level up, or I can press this button that gives me like max power as far as my hits and just
yeah,
kill them. And
Yeah.
man, I've pulled that a few times now because I just can't. It's the outcome would be me again. Just I need to. If I lose here, I need to put in another 40 minutes to come back here and do it again. That time is too valuable. Like just forget it. Like this is
yeah. It's like
keep press.
we don't have time for mulligans. Like you
Yeah.
just have to. We need that forward momentum.
Yeah.
It,
And it's like if the shot goes in the bushes, just whatever, play through, just keep going. Like we don't have time to make it perfect. And I think that also has us playing on easier difficulty settings and stuff where it's just like I don't want to have to. grind through this. Like I just want to enjoy it. Um, I know to a lot of like more hardcore gamers that probably sounds like wimping out, but it's kind of what happens when you don't have the time. Like when I used to have the time to figure out how to get past a really difficult opponent on a difficult like setting, that was a neat challenge. But now gaming is less about these challenges. Like I do love clever puzzle solving and stuff. Like that's great, and that's what I also really love about Uncharted. Is there's a good difficulty curve where, oh, that's a neat puzzle. I got to figure out how to get past this, or like this is a challenge. How do I get around this? But it's never. It's not as punishing. Like I don't think that any of us have really picked up like a Dark Souls game, or at least had a real hankering to.
I tried to, and no, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
it's
It
just
does not compute
yeah,
with.
just
And
too punishing, and it's just like I
No,
don't have time to get spanked
no.
by a game. I just need to. I just want to play. Like I got friends who are really into the series, and I totally see the merits of the series, and that sort of like that that like just wall, the unconquerable wall of difficulty. But when you do get to the top of it, like that's that sensation of like, yes, finally, finally. But like that sort of challenge, I think, is just that level of frustration. I think our patience for frustration, like, all right, it took me 40 minutes to get my kid to sleep, and they just screamed in my face. I don't need to now sit down and have a game just punish me for another 40 minutes before I get any sense of achievement or any sense of progress in the story. And yeah, it's like just the patience level. It's like I don't want to.
No,
yeah,
that's the last thing you want, right?
Yeah.
I think it varies too because like sometimes with you're up against a boss and overcoming that boss is certainly that's an enjoyable experience in fact. So even
Yeah.
sometimes you'll lose like 4 or 5 times, maybe up to 10 times, but that learning process is still enjoyment. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
gaming certainly. Like you mentioned with Dark Souls or with the Fallout 4 inventory stuff, it's challenge like meant there to like really push you and punish you in the game world, but it's time. Like it's just equates to time, and then that enjoyment is sucked out of it, and then thus exactly like you said, Gavin, like that's just the antithesis of what we're looking for, given that like life is stressful now. Like life is challenge.
Yeah,
So
We're looking
my games.
less for challenge and more for decompression.
Yeah,
exactly,
see, challenge is the wrong.
exactly.
Yeah, challenge is definitely the wrong word because I think we'd be misinterpreted in saying it. Like I don't, baby games only. Like I just want to tap the screen and have the color change.
Fruit
Yeah,
Ninja
I
and
just yeah,
Bejeweled.
Fruit Ninja. That's the thing is I found
Just
with like
meaningful challenge, I
even
suppose you could say.
yeah, and achievable challenge. Uh, challenge within a certain set of reason. Like I just finished Uncharted 1 the other day, and the end boss fight with that, like I died quite a few times just trying
Yeah,
to figure out like, okay, oh I see, like he shoots in sort of a rhythm. Okay, in that last shot you really got to not have your head out for it or else you're gonna get dinged, and just kind of figuring out little things like that. Um, I found that Uncharted would kick me back a few times, and it would beat me down a few times, but not to the point where I want to snap the controller in half and just give up. It had a nice balance, and I think that's the thing too with our position is figuring out what precipice do we now have personally in each of our own individual situations. Where's our precipice for difficulty, and not just difficulty, but like when to us is it now no longer challenging us in a playful, um, stimulating manner, and it's just now just being a dick.
yep, yep. Well, and I found a lot of that with like open world games, like Trevor mentioned with Fallout, and even like Witcher. If you spend a lot of your time running around the world, and like let's say you get into an area where you're gonna fight this boss, and you're like, oh crap, I don't have the right gun, or I don't have the right sword, or whatever, and you have to deal with your death now and be shoved back,
Yeah.
possibly to a point of no return, where you're not just properly prepared. Whereas something like a Uncharted, where it's kind of linear, if you
Mm-hmm.
die and get kicked back, it's usually like near the start of that next boss, and it's not. it's not giving you a gun that you just can't beat the game with or can't beat that
Yeah,
boss with. You can still work it out in a puzzle, right?
yeah,
Whereas I think open world, it can work against you, and that's
yeah.
where I can feel the stress
You
of
can
like,
wind up
okay,
very ill-equipped for the situation. Where like
yeah,
with a game like Uncharted, every checkpoint leaves you with all the tools necessary to
right.
complete it. And I think that's kind of that's totally a thing where it's like with Fall, there's been situations where I've like kicked at the front door of some place and realized like I am not ready for this at all.
I'm certainly not welcome here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can't carry it, right? And then you have to drop
Yeah.
something, and you're like, oh crap, I did need
That's the worst too.
that.
It's like you stumble upon a really awesome place and you're like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go in. I'm just gonna loot this dungeon. It's gonna be awesome. And then the place is just a treasure trove of so many awesome things. You're like, this is great. I got so much stuff. Oh, this is like, and it's like, it's more than you can carry. All of this is more than you can carry. And you're like,
God
what?
damn it.
So you're just like dropping everything on the floor. And it's just like that's such a Bethesda game thing too. It's like that moment where you close your inventory menu and there's just this like hovering mass of items in front of you, and they all just cascade to the ground and bounce around. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah. The
like,
physics are broken. It's like,
yeah,
ding, ding,
there's
ding.
just like 80 pounds of cabbages just rolling around. It's like,
I had
Yeah, I was
those
just seeing like
pumps.
it's
where people just put
fun.
like a huge dumpster, just like an absolute field of like a million guns,
Yeah,
just spread out over the land like a
yeah.
sea. And it's just
It's always funny too, especially like with these new games. There's so much junk that you can have in your inventory. There's like,
Yes.
why do I have like 50 salt shakers? This makes no sense. How did I
Yep.
even get 50 salt shakers? How are there 50 salt shakers left in the Boston Wasteland? This makes no sense. So
yeah, that does seem to. I don't think they're doing it to disrespect people's time specifically, like
oh,
screw the gamers, but there's something kind of disrespectful about every single thing being something. Like, I mean, there's a great
yeah,
immersion where you can certainly pick up everything, but it doesn't mean
you
I
have
should
to.
be able to pick up the salt shaker and then get one piece of metal so that I could then craft something else for it. Like,
Yeah,
that's really,
Yeah,
it's
you
just a
just
thing now.
yeah,
ransack everything, and you're like, well, I could sell it or I can make something with it. I don't know, but eventually that opportunity will come. I'm gonna take
yeah,
everything from this villager
yeah.
and leave
Yeah,
and
just
sell
That's
it to the
why
sell
next
it.
guy.
I've always
You-
I've always appreciated like games like Diablo where the loot had like a color coding system.
Yes,
And then
yes.
eventually, when you get to like certain levels, where you're like all the equipment I want to buy now is so expensive that I really just need to concern myself with the choice loot. So it's like I don't pick up anything less than a blue. And then eventually, like I don't pick up anything less than an orange. And it's just like you have new standards. So
Yeah.
it's just like
You elitist.
it's like nothing touches my skin, but like
The finest of orange.
finest of orange.
Yeah, the
Wow, Diablo is white. I just realized that. That's an epiphany.
I could call it like just screwed over because I remember like in Fallout I had this. It was like a useless item. It's something akin to um, call it like a sack of potatoes, like something that wasn't even necessarily edible. Like there's nothing you can get from it. It was something, and it was like 6 to 10 pounds. I'm just hauling this thing over for what must have been a couple in-a-game hours, and I'm like, damn it! Like my inventory's full again. This is awful. And then I'm cycling through my stuff. I'm like, how long has
Yeah,
that sack of potatoes been there?
yeah.
Damn it! Like that is such a waste of my time.
And
I've
you
had
think back, like how many pieces of loot did I neglect? And you're like, I can't pick that up. And like how
Right.
many things were left behind as like really awesome weapons that you could have sold for lots of money? They're just sitting because you
Sack of
decided.
potatoes.
Yeah, I literally realized that I had for probably like 4 or 5 game sessions, I had a bag of cement in my inventory. A bag of cement.
That is awesome.
The thing weighed like 50 pounds. I'm like, why can't I pick anything up? It's like because I'm hauling around.
You,
a bag
you,
of
you, you mutants better be ready in there. Ugh. Ugh.
See,
I'm
I'll do
coming.
slightly one better. In Witcher, I couldn't pick up anything, but in my inventory, when I looked at it later, I had a satchel that could hold more in my inventory. So all I had to do was
Was he?
equip that, and then I would be okay.
Like, damn, I just got all these. I have like 20 satchels and no room for anything else in my satchel. Whatever
So
will
many
I do?
satchels. You see your character just strap on them
Yeah.
like the dad bags and diaper
My,
bags and
my saddlebag is over encumbered with saddlebags. This is just, how do I find a solution to
God,
this?
one's filled with cement. I don't get it.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
how am I
like,
going to
yeah,
put that lady in her chair?
that's a very
With
poignant.
cement.
Yeah, Gavin, your point is very poignant as far as like our actual baby lives is just a series of inventory management screens.
Yeah.
And like, so to have to switch into gaming mode and have to deal with it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
just oh,
You're just
forget
like, I
it.
don't want to do more of this. I just did. I spent an entire weekend, like, just Tetrising a trunk to make sure we could get everything to where we needed to go. And then I get back and it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I can only carry one. Okay, well, just, I'll just boot up Uncharted. Alright, there we go.
Made worse if you had to go to a birthday, right? Because then you're expecting stuff just like you're expecting to loot in the game. So you're like,
Yeah.
ah, I can't carry this. I leave the stroller on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's like Christmas where you're like, oh, I got all this great stuff for Christmas. But you're like, oh, now we have
Yeah,
this, now we do this, now
We
we do
can't
this.
fit it.
I don't know if you're throwing up the softball transition or not, but speaking of birthdays, my but my yeah, so my son at the end of this month turns 1, but this weekend we had the birthday celebration with the family because we couldn't quite make it work with everyone for the next one. So fortunately, all the loot that they gave me, A, I could carry in my inventory, and B, was super useful because he's actually outgrown a lot of the stuff. We're caught in this weird crossfire where we have up until like 11 months where he's at now, and then 18 months on. So it's just like this hole in our inventory we hadn't really noticed for baby clothes.
Yeah,
So this birthday worked out great.
we
But
got, we got all of his college stuff ready, but
got his first car all shined up, but not sure where to put it.
the junior camp is short.
So it was great. Excellent time. Great time had by all. Like a nice simple event. My mom had a cake, so we got the stereotypical
cake.
dad photo. Yep. So the baby smashing cake on himself. Not spectacularly. It was a little disappointing in that way. It wasn't just like completely all over the place. It was just messy enough to be a nuisance
Mhm.
in a very cute way.
Yeah.
But no, so it was absolutely darling. It was a great time. It's
awesome.
it's funny. I'm not quite as nostalgic or sad for his first birthday as I might have been led to believe I would be.
No, God no. Who told
'Cause
you
it-
that?
Like, oh, they grow up so fast, and there's a part of me that's just like,
no. Once you're past potty training, then you can say they grow up so fast. Because then you're like, ah.
You're 1/5 closer to sending them off to school.
awesome. Yeah, because I've never been much of a infant or baby guy, like just with other kids. Like some guys, some men and women just adore babies, and I think probably particularly like that phase. But I certainly enjoyed it. Like it was really, wondrous and amazing experience. Like for all, absolutely. But I think the next parts are what I'm looking forward to when we're like playing. He's a bit more sentient. Like we can actually interact a bit more.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
that's the thing is like you have to look at it like it's like the people who peak in high school. Like they don't understand that things also will get like even more fun. Like as you grow, like you have to look at tomorrow as being a cool thing. And I think sometimes if people get too hung up at a particular phase, they lose an opportunity to appreciate what's coming next. And it's like you need to appreciate the now, but you also have to be excited about the next. And
So I mean, like he's 1 year old, so it's just like it's a cakewalk now, right? Like it's just coast, it's easy,
that's it.
right?
yeah, that's it.
Made
That's
it.
it.
1 year, that's all you get.
It's just a
Data
switch.
work.
Just switches on, and he starts to eat nicely and go to bed on his own. Potty train, just
Yeah, yeah,
like literally the second that he turns 1
Yeah.
year.
yeah. 18 months. That's when he learns carpentry. So
Mustache comes in, sideburns.
yeah, it's all set.
Burping.
I wish.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes after his mother's side because I can't grow a mustache or sideburns to save my life. So never hit that one.
You mean like your father-in-law, right? I'm hoping this is not a dig at your wife.
I did say her side because I went through that sentence in my head first, and I'm like, if I'm not careful with this,
Oh.
I don't know, her side of it. But
My ongoing
dude.
quest to have one day you going like, yeah, I had to sleep in the shed.
Yeah, coming coming live from the backyard where I've set up camp for the next month. The other big news though is that my son's taken his first steps.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Yeah,
you're
he's
You're on your
now.
way.
That's
Look at
little
exciting.
that.
little
Right
walker.
when he turned 12.
Yeah.
12 months.
Yeah,
He's like, "Am I one?" Okay. Stands up
Done.
and just starts to walk around, grabs a briefcase, and away he
yeah.
goes.
Going to work. See you in a bit.
Give me a coffee if you don't mind.
Yeah.
That was great. Like he's been standing up on couches, like leaning against like objects for quite some time. Had started to want to push on things, so he had this walker that he was just like zipping around on. Of course, walking with us, like holding his hands, and yeah, just the one time he first started just to stand up on his own, like just straight shot. And he's just standing there, and you're looking at him like, what are you doing? You're just like, you're
Yeah.
standing like a little man. This is very bizarre.
Lily's been
It's
doing this thing where she crawls and she like kind of like gets her legs locked and like she has her butt and her legs and she's standing, but then like the rest of her's still on the ground. Like she just doesn't have that core strength to pop the rest of herself up. But it's like
Yeah.
okay, she's trying.
Your baby will be like bum first, and one day just like the rest of her will like spring up. But
That's how it works.
yeah, but away he went, and that's like it's a little terrifying as far. It was amazing. We had a couple of videos and threw them around. Like it's so awesome to see, and the potential of it too, of like taking them to the parks and like him walking around. You kind of see that stuff, but the threat of him now being so mobile in that like anything that's kind of at hand level and how fast he's going to be able to walk.
Yeah.
Like going from him sitting to crawling was just an awakening. That was a massive jump.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, like now he's going to be able to walk. It's like,
I will say, because you'll probably put a baby gate up if you don't already have it up, right? So I have knocked into that baby gate so many times in the middle of the night that I can, late gaming sessions, whatever, kids are asleep, I still forget it's there, and it's just the loud clang of me banging into it. I was so thankful to get rid of that thing. Like, oh my god, that's the one thing I will not forget or will not have back.
So
in my house.
I'm already thinking of a dad hack for the baby gate. I'm going to pick up some of that glow in the dark tape.
Oh, perfect.
I'm going to put a
Yes.
strip right across the top of it.
Maybe like an audio cue too, or something.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
the senses need to be
Warning.
firing.
baby security measure in place. Caution.
Just wrap the whole thing with Christmas lights.
Well, no, I hate it. I hate the thing. Fortunately, so with our situation, we live on a ground level. We have access, and then we have a basement as well. So ground level basement. There's just the one stairs that accesses it. So it's just the one baby gate that we kind of prop in because he generally plays upstairs, like that's his area.
Yeah.
So relatively simple, but it's still just like I need something in the basement. Oh, baby gate. Damn it.
Yeah.
Especially too when it's a baby gate and then stairs. Like it's not like a hallway baby gate where you can just kind of straddle it and go. Like
Yeah.
if you trip straddling baby gate,
You're done.
you're down the stairs.
I don't even.
That's it.
It's like this. I think that at best, this baby gate this isn't an absolute secured to the wall thing. This is like kind of a pressure thing.
Okay.
So this is basically the 3-second buffer time that I have to run to baby to stop him
Yeah.
before it goes down along with baby. Before it becomes a surfboard for
He'll
my
surf
baby
it down,
downstairs.
Yeah. You should hang some bells on it so that way you have more of an alarm system. So when he starts on the gate, you're just like, oh, I hear
Or
the bell.
some tinfoil below it. So when
Yeah.
you start stepping on the tinfoil, you're like, oh god.
It's time. Yeah.
Just Home
great.
Alone traps everywhere.
Lego on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but big days. He turns 1. He's started to walk, and we're still struggling with. I'll say this like it is. I wouldn't wish the difficulty we've had with him with sleeping, like naps and eating. Generally pretty good. Overall, he's been a great baby. It's really hard to complain. But compared to other babies that are around us, my sister's baby sleeps like a champ. So it's 2 months old and it's sleeping 8 hours a night. Like, are you kidding me? And other babies like Gavin, yours is like amazingly like shoving avocado in her mouth already. Like that sounds amazing. And it's just like you get so much weird envy sometimes
Yeah.
of other babies that are just behaving better or going a little bit easier. It's
Yeah.
just like he's like he's dreadfully tired, just so tired, and because of it, he's so miserable. And you're sitting there kind of bouncing and rocking him, and you're convincing him to do the one thing that he wants and needs, but he's fighting it for some reason, and
Yeah.
it's just weird. Uh, and obviously you're sleep deprived. All you want to do is sleep.
Yeah.
You want to do the thing that he needs that he won't do, and it's still so bizarre even at this time. Like it's not nights are pretty easy. He tends to go down pretty well. Naps, I think he's going to probably start dropping naps. I hear that happens anywhere from 12 to 15 or 18 months.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So it's not so much that we're trying to force him into the old habits. It's like when he gets to that state where you're like, you got to stop. You got to sleep right now because you
Yeah.
are not in a good spot. He's like, oh yeah, and then just nothing. And then you see other people who are like, oh, it looks like he wants to go to bed. Oh, that's
No, you call it envy. I remember being in those days. I would say hate. I would be like, oh, I just
you and
it
your
wouldn't
you and
be
your
envy.
perfect
No, it'd be
baby.
like, no, you and your perfect baby. Oh yeah, I have no problems. Whatever.
You'd be there with like a foghorn, just like, how did the baby sleep through this?
It's the same thing like my wife would say when other people were pregnant and be like, "Oh, it's a beautiful pregnancy. I love everything about it." She's like, "You son of a like." There's like
Yeah.
I had to pee every 5 minutes. I can't sleep. Like it's just no,
I'm
it's not really envy.
sore.
It's just, I don't like you
Yeah.
and your perfect life.
Yeah, like the experience of it is just so vastly different that when you hear of somebody having it relatively easy, I wouldn't take it away from them. Like I wouldn't wish
No, no, no. But
misfortune on them.
still,
Like
you're
it's
like,
like so good for you, but also I hate you. Like
yeah,
you
Yeah.
pinch
suck.
their baby a little bit, just around the back. Just oh, it's crying.
Little pinch, yeah.
I think my kind of like angry envy is not really directed towards like parents with kids that have like an easier time. Mine's more towards like people who don't have kids who like will be like, yeah, well, I was up till like 4 in the morning. I just spent like 5 hours on YouTube. It's like, ah, like just these people with like an incalculable amount of spare time, and they do nothing with it. It's like there's so much stuff I need to do, and so many things that I want to get done, and like a lot of work that I want to get done, and then just things around the house I want to finish up, and and then when I just hear people like, oh, I'm bored. Like,
But that's the worst too. Like around
those
that
are the two
specifically
words
is
that
like
I hate hearing right now. I'm bored. No, boredom is not. You should never.
Exactly. You're not bored or you're not tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I stayed up really late last night. Shut up.
Yeah.
you don't get to be bored or tired. I think
It's
it's
your
like
choice.
especially trying to like play games with. If you have any friends who are playing a game
Mhm.
while you have your kid, like and you're trying to do a co-op, it's like, I'm
Oh,
like,
it's
well,
worth
I was able to get about an hour or two in. It's like, oh yeah, I've got about 40 hours in, so I'm a level
Yeah.
3,000 and I
Yeah,
got all this
yeah.
stuff. It's just like, no, you son of a,
Not gonna work.
Yeah.
that's
Different. But the thing is too is it's like I would be just as mad at myself. Like if I was having a conversation with time traveling me from 5 years ago, I'd be like, "What are you doing?" Like I just think it's like, what did I do with all my time before having a baby? Like it is
Yeah.
really interesting to just think like, because then I even had a friend who was saying like, yeah, when you had your kid, you realize like how much time you used to have. Like
Yeah.
it's like this hindsight that you get. You're like, I had so much time. Why didn't I write a play?
Wasted. I remember getting up at like 10:30 on a Saturday. Just,
Yeah,
roll out of bed, whatever. I'll
just
guess I'll do stuff today.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's just
right.
close our eyes and remember such things.
I know. A moment of silence, please.
yeah. Just that
Or beautiful
whole
morning nights, lot. Like my kid woke up at 3:30 this morning. 3:30.
just
He
And stayed up?
wouldn't go to bed. Yeah,
Oh my
the
God.
poor guy he has an ear infection. It's quite bad. Like
No, that'll do it.
he's rounding off now. He's kind of at the tail end of it, fortunately. And we felt super bad for him. Like he really struggled through it, but ultimately handled it kind of like a champ. Like he generally was playing and everything, but it just really messed with his eating and sleeping more than is usual, which is already pretty bad. But yeah, 3:30. Stayed up from 3:30 until 8:30. Just awake. That's cool. We had to be awake. I think me and my wife did some tag team action on that, where it's like you go back, you sleep. I'm gonna come bug you in 2 hours. Enjoy it. Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always think if you ever watch Game of Thrones, it's like the changing of the guards kind of thing. Like, my watch has ended, and you just walk out and hit the floor and go to sleep. Like, that's it. Done.
Oh, and I think as we've covered, like, feels like every 2 or 3 episodes we come across the fact like how incredible are single mothers and fathers. Man,
Oh, I could only like.
that's such a heroic effort. That's unbelievable. That's amazing.
We had friends over today, and they have twins. It's just like,
Nope.
and it's like, well, you got one each, like at the same time. But yeah, that was quite a shock. So yeah, they're doing great. They're doing really well. But like, wow, you can just tell it's like this is a juggling act.
Yeah.
But
Double up.
yeah, and it's funny too. Like one of theirs is a great sleeper, and the other one hates sleeping. So it's
Oh,
like,
so it's an evil and good twin kind of thing.
yeah, pretty much. But then like the one likes to make strange and isn't really too fond. So like
Oh,
the one
yeah.
who wants to sleep doesn't want anything to do with people, and the one is just awake all the time and a social butterfly. So it's like one's good at one thing but bad at the other, and the other one is the exact opposite. It's like, did you guys just like have a conversation in the womb? And it's like, okay, I got this, and you can have this.
So you're just trading like DNA back and forth. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you have this.
Let me borrow some of this one. You grab this guy.
Yeah. But yeah, when
It's a
you
co-op.
think
It's co-op players and 2 guys like switching out stats based on what they want to be.
Yeah.
You take this item, it's going to buff your social skills. Let me grab that one.
you know,
Needs my dexterity. I don't need to sleep. Perfect.
sleep.
Well, yeah, gentlemen, I think go ahead and call it that one. Keep it a tight one. We're all looking for a. I don't know about you guys. I'm tired as a dog, and
You sound tired.
Yeah, man.
You're
we
done. Press
man,
dead gaming.
I'm telling you, man. 3:30 and a birthday party. And yeah,
Yeah.
here we are.
We better finish this out before he just headbutts the microphone and passes out.
At some point, you just notice, man, we haven't heard from Trevor for like 10 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
just
He hasn't chimed in for a bit.
sleeping peacefully. You quietly leave the room.
Yeah.
This thing is live for the next like 24 hours as I go comatose.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Screen's just frozen. No, he's sleeping.
It's literally asleep.
Best
See, it's
episode
not
ever.
green because you can see the drool puddle grow.
See little Z's floating up cartoon style.
Yeah.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening once again. This has been New Dad Gaming. We do this weekly. If you'd like to give us any tips or tricks or suggestions for shows, ask us any questions, you can reach us at our website, newdadgaming.com. You can subscribe to the podcast either on YouTube, iTunes, or Google Play Podcasts, or many other places where fine podcasts are served up. As always, thanks again. See you next week. And until then, my name is Trevor, and I have an 11-month-old.
My name is Gavin. I have a 9-month-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Trevor, go to sleep.
Go to bed.
I thought you were going to forget your name there for a second.
But for how long?
Listen to us, and it's a podcast, and we're a fine podcast.
Yeah, it was not a smooth ending if you didn't notice.
Computers.
Dads and babies and iTunes. iTunes.
Make me want to
All right, guys.
stop. Good night, buddy.
See ya.
Yeah.